Hello friends, how's it going? My name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a video that I am very excited about because it's a book recommendation for every song on the Tortured Poets department. And no, I will not be including the songs from the anthology on this video because, 16 songs is enough as it is. But if you would like to see a part 2 for this with songs that are included from the anthology for all 31 songs, then do let me know because I am willing to make a part 2 of this in the future. But I'm so excited for today's video because this is a video that I've done so many times on my channel. If you're new to my channel, you might not know this, but I make these videos every single time Taylor Swift drops an album. I love doing these videos where I give book recommendations based off the certain songs on the album. I'll have all the previous times that I've done this linked down below if you want to check out any of those other videos. But I'm so excited for today, especially because I think the Tortured Poets department is such a special album. And if you missed it on my Patreon last month, me and my sister did an entire dedicated video just reacting to this album. The video is like over 2 hours long. So if you want to see that reaction video, I'll have that link down below. But I would love to know, how are you feeling about this album? Do you have a top 5? Does this album make your top favorite Taylor Swift albums, or like where does it rank for you? I feel like even though it's been about 3-ish weeks since this album came out, I'm still struggling to figure out like where this album ranks for me. I want to say it's in my top 3, but I also don't know if this album like beats some of my top favorites from Taylor. I think at this moment in time, my top 3 is still Midnight's, Reputation, and then maybe Folklore Evermore, or maybe this one. Like, I don't know if Tortured Poets department beats Folklore and Evermore for me. I'm still figuring it out. I also just wanted to quickly shout out, I'm wearing this merch that my sister made. It literally says, "Your wife waters flowers, I want to kill her." Like, isn't this so cute? Oh my gosh, my sister drew a bunch of different merch for TTPD because we both tried to get merch for the Tortured Poets department, but the merch sold out so freaking fast that we weren't able to get any of the real merch. So she drew a bunch of really cute merch, and this was the first thing to come in. So I was like, I have to wear it for this video, duh. So I'll have my sister's Etsy shop linked down below because these are so freaking cute. I got a few of the other designs as well, and I can't wait for them to come in. I'm also wearing my Reputation necklace because, I just had to. Some of these books, when it comes to these recommendations, I feel like I got it like spot on. I could not have picked a better book for this song recommendation, but then some of these songs I actually really struggled with, and I feel like I could use some feedback. Like, I could use some of your feedback. The first song we have on this album is Fortnight, which is definitely one of my top personal favorites on this album because I'm a huge Post Malone fan as well. And Fortnight is just everything that I could have hoped that it would be and even more. It's definitely one of my top favorite songs on this album. And for me, the song Fortnight, it really just feels like it's talking about wanting somebody that you shouldn't want, or somebody that feels forbidden to you. And it's like somebody that you were with for a very brief amount of time because, it's like we were together for only a fortnight. Like, I touched you for only a fortnight. So they were together briefly, but they know that this isn't somebody that they should still be wanting. And now it's like you have to sit there on the sidelines and watch their wife go and water flowers, and you have to think about the time that you shared together. And for those reasons, I feel like the book Brokeback Mountain actually fits this song so perfect. I love you. It's ruining my life. Okay, hear me out because I know you're probably like, what do you mean? But to me, this song sounds like longing. Like this song sounds like I want somebody that I shouldn't have, and now I have to sit here and watch your wife water flowers, and I want to kill her because I want her life. And I feel like Brokeback Mountain fits that perfectly because if you didn't know, the story of Brokeback Mountain is about these two gay cowboys who have feelings for each other. But Ennis, one of the cowboys, he's like, no, like, I'm married to my wife, like, I'm happy with my wife. And they literally only shared such a brief moment of affection together before that was like ripped away from them. And now Jack Twist, like the cowboy played by Jake Gyllenhaal, but in the book, I'm talking about the book, okay? I have read the book, but it's also a movie. And I feel like their story is just really tragic and really sad, but I feel like Jack Twist as a character specifically could really relate of being like, I touched you for only a fortnight, and now he has to sit with this longing. Also, can we acknowledge the fact that I think Jack Twist would definitely relate to the lyric, "I love you, it's ruining my life." Literally in the book, when he says, "I wish I knew how to quit you," like, that is giving the same energy. Another fortnight lost in America. Alright, moving right along to the Tortured Poets department is the next song, which is the title track on the album. And this is a song that I really loved. I feel like this one was initially kind of like one of my favorites. I just really love the sound of it. It's giving like 80s vibes to me for some reason. But a book that I think fits these song lyrics pretty well is gonna be Alone With You in the Ether. You're in self-sabotage mode, throwing spikes down on the road. I've seen this episode and still love this
the show.
And I decided to go with this one because I think the idea of like a tortured poet or somebody who's like a tortured artist is something that both of the characters in this book could probably relate to. I mean, the premise of this book is how two people meet in the art institute by chance. I feel like the writing in this book is really beautiful and really stunning, but I feel like some people can kind of see it as being like a little bit pretentious, which I feel like people also can view this song in that way too. And I feel like especially with lyrics in this song, like you're in self-sabotage mode, throwing spikes down on the road, but I've seen this episode and I still love the show. And who else decodes you and who else is gonna know you like I do? Because I feel like in this book, these characters have such a deep connection and it's so much more than just like physical romance for these two. They definitely have a really deep mental connection and they have a lot of very thought-provoking and interesting conversations, and I feel like this is one of those books where they're more in love with each other for their minds and like the way that they view the world and see the world, and it's like nobody else is gonna know you like I know you. I feel like both of these characters also do have a tendency to like self-sabotage, you know, both of these characters do deal with different mental illnesses, and I just feel like this song really captures the feeling that I got while I was reading this book, you know, I feel like it perfectly captures it.
And who's gonna know you if not me?
The next song is gonna be My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, which initially, when I first heard this album, I'm not gonna lie, this song was a bit of a skip for me. I was kind of like, I mean, it's cute, but like whatever. And it's definitely grown on me a little bit, but I will admit, it's still not one of my top favorites on the album personally. Like, I think the song is just fine. It's gonna be Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan.
But you should have seen him when he first got me.
Because when I was first hearing this song, I was like, it's giving me second chance romance. Like, it's giving me that kind of vibe of like a couple that's gone through a hard time. And, you know, this guy who's like left her because he was afraid of forever with her. The whole like, you know, here we go again, the voices in his head. And like, but you should have seen him when he first got me. Like, they were really happy and like in love, like almost right away. Like, it was almost an instant attraction. And I do think that this book fits this song pretty well, just in terms of like the idea of a second chance romance and giving somebody another chance to improve themselves. I mean, the whole like, once I fix me, he's gonna miss me. And like the left all these broken parts told me I'm better off, but I'm not. Because she knows that she's not better off without him. It's hard for me to compare it to this song in a way because it's not necessarily all his fault. Like, I feel like their relationship ended for a lot of reasons that, you know, you come to discover in this book. But I just feel like when I first heard this song, it kind of reminded me of the feeling that I got while reading this book. All right, the next song is gonna be Down Bad, which is, I'm not gonna lie, this is my favorite song on the album. Like, this is the song I've been streaming the most. I'm just absolutely obsessed with it. These lyrics are giving alien romance vibes, and unfortunately, I don't have an alien romance book to recommend to you. But like, wow, that really went over my head the first couple of weeks that I was listening to this song. I didn't realize there were so many like alien and outer space references in this song. But I actually have two different book recommendations for this, and these are both romance books that I really love, where I feel like the characters are very down bad for the other character, and that is Happy Place by Emily Henry, as well as Stars in Your Eyes by Cason Callender.
Everything comes out teenage petulance, fuck it if I can't have him.
I feel like Happy Place fits the song Down Bad perfectly because this is a book that's about a couple that has been together in the past and they've since broken up. And it's one of those romance books where there's gonna be like fake dating involved essentially because they're not ready to tell their friend group that they've broken up, so they still have to pretend to be fiancés. And it's like really hard for her because she still has feelings for him. So it's like, in a way, it's like she's down bad and it's like, did you really beam me up? Did you really make me feel like we were gonna be together just to leave me stranded? And now I have to be here at this cabin in Maine with our friends and try to act like everything's fine when I'm not fine. Down Bad really does capture the vibe of this book and the vibe of like how this main character is feeling about him. But I also wanted to include Stars in Your Eyes because this one is a male-male romance where we're following these two actors and they're also going to be fake dating. And I feel like this book is a lot more heavy and a lot more dark than you might anticipate. Like, there's a lot of trigger warnings at the beginning of this book for a lot of different things. And I feel like I can relate this song to this book because, you know, because they are actors and they're supposed to be acting like they're in love and fake dating, like they're not supposed to have real feelings for each other, right? But I feel like with those lyrics of like, fuck it, I was in love, and fuck you if I can't have us, I feel like that really does represent them in their situation because it's like, fuck it, I was in love, like for real, bitch.
I might just not get up, I might stay down bad.
The next song on the album is So Long London, which is the track 5 for this album. I really do love So Long London, even though I will argue until the day that I die that loml should have been the track 5 on this album. But So Long London is great. I really do love this song, and a book that I think fits this song pretty well is going to be The Light We Lost.
How much sad did you think I had.
I'm not gonna lie, this is one that I did struggle with quite a bit just because I did struggle to find a book that I think fits this song perfectly. And I do see pieces of this book in this song, but I know that this song has a much bigger story. But some lyrics that I think really do fit this book well are the lyrics of like, how much sad did you think I had? And like wondering how long did you think I was gonna wait around, and like I was the one carrying our relationship on my back kind of lines. Because in this book we're following these two characters, and this book is the kind of book that takes place over decades. You know, like we follow these characters through a long period of their lives, and it's always this like on again off again thing with these characters where like they're never really in each other's life at the right time. Like it's always the wrong time. And I feel like this book just really captures that vibe of like, how long could we do this before one of us breaks? And I really feel like So Long London has such a deeper meaning to it, and I really struggled to find a book for this one. So if you have something that you think could fit better, then do let me know, because I don't think this is the perfect book recommendation for this song. It was just the best that I could think of. All right, the next song on the album is But Daddy, I Love Him. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard this song, I was like, skip. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I don't know why. For me, it sounded like something Taylor would have written on like Fearless or Speak Now. It just sounded like something that should have came out like 10 years ago. Now I've actually grown a fondness towards the song. Like I really do like it. It's not a top favorite for me, but now I really do like the song and I actually do listen to it pretty often. But a book that I think actually fits this song so well that it's kind of hilarious is Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. And if you were wondering, like, no, I did not like this book. This was a 1-star book for me, but I think it's fucking hilarious how much this book actually does fit this song. Because, you know, this song is talking about being raised in a small town and feeling trapped and feeling like nobody's gonna support your relationship. Nobody in the town thinks that he's a good match for you. And this book is literally about this girl, Ruth, who's like in love with her best friend Everett, who she thinks is a vampire. And she's just like, no, but daddy, I love him. Like, I'm gonna be with him. Like some of these lyrics when it's like, I just learned these people only raise you to cage you. And all the Sarahs and Hannahs in their Sunday best clutching their pearls saying what a mess. Because she's just so different from the other girls, you know, like she just loves Twilight. Especially the like, I'm telling him to floor it through the fences. No, I'm not coming to my senses. I know he's crazy, but he's the one that I want. Especially when you think about the ending of this book. The screeching tires of true love. That's really what this book is, right? The next song is gonna be Fresh Out the Slammer. And I feel like for me, this was initially a song that I wasn't too sure how I felt about, and now I'm really loving this song. Like the song has grown on me so much. But a book that I think fits this song so perfectly is actually Funniest Story by Emily Henry.
Summer taking cover, rolling thunder, he don't understand me.
Because, you know, this song is talking about being like fresh out of the slammer, as in like fresh out of a long relationship that was not good for her, like a very toxic relationship that she only realizes is as toxic as it was after looking back on it. And it's like, when I'm fresh out of the slammer, I know who my first call will be too. And I feel like that perfectly captures the vibe of this book, because, you know, in this story we're following this character Daphne, who is in this really, you know, not so great relationship with this guy named Peter. I think especially that line when it says he was with her in his dreams, or whatever that line is, it's so fitting for Peter, because he is with this girl who's like his childhood best friend Petra, who like he always told her like, oh, don't worry about her, we're just friends. And then like literally on the night of his like bachelor party or something, he's like, yeah, we have to break up, like I don't want to be with you, I want to be with Petra, the girl he told her to like never worry about. So it's like now that she's fresh out of the slammer, she's like, I know who my first call will be too, and she's like rooming up with Petra's ex-boyfriend now, Miles. Okay, the next song on the album is Florida, and Florida is another one of those slow burn songs for me, because the first time that I heard Florida, the first couple of times, I was kind of like, yeah, it's fine, like whatever, skip. Now, dude, Florida might be in my top 5 on this album. Like I am obsessed. Like every single day I'm just like, Florida. Oh, freaking catchy. It's so good. The way it builds towards the end, like just literally makes me feel like I'm entering another dimension. And I did struggle a little bit to think of a book recommendation for this song, because there were no books I've read that have been very interesting that take place in Florida, so that was out. So instead, I kind of went for a book recommendation for a book that just gives me the same feelings that I get when I listen to this song, and that's gonna be Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey.
And the city reeks of driving myself crazy.
I think some of the lyrics in this song that definitely remind me of this book include lyrics like, this city reeks of driving myself crazy, and like, little did you know your home's really only a town you're just a guest in, or a town you'll get arrested, and the whole like, yes, I I'm haunted, but I'm feeling just fine. All of my girls got their lace in their crimes and your cheating husband disappeared. Well, no one asks any questions here. I just feel like the vibes of this song really match this book very well because I'm just imagining like small town crime, like grittiness. In this story, we're following this character named Inti and her sister who are going to be moving to Scotland. They're originally from like Alaska and like Canada area. They're going to be moving to Scotland because they're trying to reintroduce wolves into their society. And then as Inti is spending more time in Scotland, you know, she starts to let her guard down and possibly even allow romance back into her life. And then there's a really awful situation that happens where they think one of the wolves could have murdered somebody, but then they have to wonder, like, is this really because of the wolves that this happened, or is somebody trying to frame the wolves or to frame Inti and her sister? And so we kind of get this like small town kind of like crime story, and the whole idea of like only being a guest in this town and like this is only somewhere you're gonna get arrested. I don't know, a lot of the feeling that I get when I listen to this song is the same feeling that I had while reading this book. And you know, like, let's be so for real, I'm just looking for more ways that I can recommend this book because I loved this book so much. It's a 5-star. It's one of my top favorites of this year. So I would recommend this one either way, but I do think that this book perfectly captures the vibe of this song. Florida. The next song on the album is Guilty as Sin, which this one is another top favorite of mine. This one was a favorite from like the second that I heard it, but I do think this song is still in my top 5, maybe even my top 3. I love this song so much. And to me, this song is about wanting someone that you shouldn't. It feels like a forbidden romance kind of song where you're like imagining yourself being with someone and you're like, how can I be guilty because we haven't even touched? Like, without ever touching his skin, how can I be guilty as sin? Like, we haven't even done anything, but I'm just thinking about it. Like, we've already done it in my head. And for that, I think Red, White, and Royal Blue would be the perfect book recommendation for this.
What if he's written mine on my upper thigh, only in my mind?
Because this is one of my all-time favorite romance books, and it is very forbidden. The prince, and then we also have the first son of the United States, and they're catching feelings for each other. And the whole idea of like, my boredom's bone deep, this cage was once just fine, am I allowed to cry? Because since they are both public figures, you know, they were kind of raised in this cage. They were kind of raised with this expectation to like be a certain way. And also the whole like, am I allowed to cry? Because like, I'm a man and I have this whole public like staring at me all the time, and because of toxic masculinity, like, men are not allowed to express their feelings. And the whole like crashing into him tonight, he's a paradox because he's so different from your usual life and your everyday experience. So the whole idea of like, what if he's written mine on my upper thigh, only in my mind? It's like they're fantasizing about each other. I really do love the song. I think it's perfect for this book. I would also say if you've seen the movie Challengers, I feel like this song also works perfectly for the movie Challengers. That's all I'm gonna say. I love Challengers. It's such a 10 out of 10 movie, like literally one of my favorite movies I've ever seen in my whole freaking life. And there is such a juicy like love triangle-ish type of thing happening in this movie that it just really works for me. I love everything about it, and I do think this song would also work perfect for that movie. Just a side note. The next song on the album is Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, which of course I loved this song right away. As a Reputation girly myself, I was very excited about this song because the bad bitch Taylor is coming back in this song, and a book that I think fits this song very well has got to be the Mindfuck series.
If you wanted me dead, you should have just said.
Who's afraid of little old me? And you should be. Like, yes, you absolutely should be. Because, you know, this story is about this character named Lana, and something really awful happened to her many years ago, and this story is kind of about how she's trying to seek revenge against the men who have wronged her. And Lana herself is a serial killer, and she's also dating this FBI agent named Logan in this whole series. But I think the whole idea of her being perceived as this little, like, fragile, sweet, innocent little butterfly with Logan, and then being, like, a serial killer, it's like, yeah, who's afraid of little old me? Well, you should be. Especially in that second verse when she says the scandal was contained, the bullet had just grazed. At all costs, keep your good name. You don't get to tell me you feel bad. And like, is it a wonder I broke? Let's hear one more joke, then we could all just laugh until I cry. Like, that is so spot on for this book. If you know, you know.
Who's afraid of little old me? You should be.
Alright, the next song on this album is I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. And I think for me personally, this song is probably my least favorite on the album if I had to pick one. And it's not because I don't like it, because I do like this song, I just never see myself streaming it. You know, like, I'm never drawn to like streaming it. I'm never like, oh my god, I need to listen to I Can Fix Him. I do like this song and I like the storytelling aspect of it, but it's not a song that I listen to very often, if that makes sense. Like, it's not a song that I seek out, but a song that I do think fits this book pretty well is actually It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Because Because I feel like, you know, this song is talking about a woman who's with a man who is, you know, toxic and problematic, and she's like, don't worry about it, I can fix him. And it's like, no girl, you literally can't. And it's like, by the end of the song, she realizes like, oh yeah, you know, maybe I can't. Like maybe everybody else was right. Maybe I'm taking on too much. Maybe he is just a problematic, toxic man and some things can't be changed. And I feel like that does really capture the vibe of this book, you know, because in this book, we're following this character named Lily and this guy named Ryle. And there's also a bit of a love triangle happening between her and him and then this other guy Atlas. And this is like one of my favorite romance books of all time, but it's definitely a tough book because it involves abuse and like there's an abusive man in this book and that can be really difficult to read. But I feel like Lily's mindset in this book of like, I can fix him, no really I can, it really does feel like that's her mindset for some of this book, as tragic and sad as that is. But I do feel like her character would relate to some of the lyrics of this song. Right, so the next song on the album is LOML, and this one has quickly become one of my top favorites. I think this one might be in my top 5 as well. I don't know, it's so hard for me to pick a top 5. This one was also kind of like a slow burn on me. Like it wasn't an initial favorite, but it's become one of my top favorites. But I do have 2 different books that I think would perfectly capture this song. One of them is Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and then the other one is Shark Heart. I do think that Forever Interrupted is a good book recommendation for this song because Forever Interrupted is about a married couple who like they're only married for like 6 months or so when the husband dies, and then she kind of has to deal with like the grief that comes with that and him being, you know, the loss of her life and having been told like you're the love of my life and then losing him. I feel like that book really captures it, but because I wasn't a huge fan of that book personally, like Forever Interrupted, it was like 1 or 2 stars for me. I just didn't care for the writing style in that one. So I thought I would also recommend Shark Heart because I also do think this story does capture the feelings of this song, especially when she says, but I felt a hole like this never before and ever since. If you know it in one glimpse, it's legendary. What we thought was for all time was momentary. And the whole like, what a valiant roar, what a bland goodbye. Because in this story, if you didn't know, it's about these characters who were following like a husband and wife, and then the husband finds out that he's got this medical condition where he's slowly going to be turning into a great white shark. And in this book, it takes place in a world where people can get medical conditions where they like turn into animals. And it's kind of comparable to something like cancer, or, you know, like some kind of terminal illness where like there's no going back. And it's basically like the end of his life and the end of their time together because he's turning into an animal. And it sounds freaking ridiculous, but it is so freaking sad and so freaking moving. And I feel like these lyrics, they do really capture the feeling of this book. Like, you're the loss of my life. And like, what a bland goodbye. Like, we couldn't even really say goodbye. You're just turning into an animal. Like, this is so sad.
What we thought was for all time was momentary.
Alright, the next song on the album is I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, which this one is definitely in my top 5 favorites on this album. I freaking love this song. It was an instant favorite. Like, the moment that I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I love, like, this is the Taylor Swift that I know and love. It has such relatable lyrics. 2 different book recommendations that I think would be perfect for this song. That's Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, as well as Lessons in Chemistry.
They said, baby, gotta fake it till you make it, and I did.
I feel like both of these books would really capture the vibe of this song. I mean, Daisy Jones and the Six, I feel like is a pretty obvious recommendation because, you know, Daisy Jones is a star. Like, she's a huge star on the stage. She has to, like, put on a show even though she has a broken heart. She has the crowd chanting more and she's breaking into a million pieces. Like, this song perfectly does capture Daisy Jones. So I feel like this was kind of an obvious recommendation, and that's why I wanted to include Lessons in Chemistry as well, because Elizabeth Zott is such an iconic character, and in this book she goes through a lot of really hard things, and it's like, I can do it with a broken heart. Like, she's a chemist, she's running her own show, and the whole like lights, camera, bitch, smile even when you want to die. I feel like that definitely is something she can probably relate to. And the whole I can hold my breath, I've been doing it since he left. I keep finding things in drawers, crucial evidence I didn't imagine, the whole thing. I'm sure I can pass this test. Like a chemistry test? Oh my god, I just feel like it really fits her character well, and I had to acknowledge that.
All the pieces of me shattered as the crowd was chanting.
Alright, the next song on this album is The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, and this song is so freaking intense. It's so dark, it's such a freaking gut punch, and a book that I think fits the song very well, but it's also been a number of years since I've read this book, but it's My Dark Vanessa. And I think that this song could fit this book very well because this book is a really sad, really hard read. It kind of reads more like literary fiction, and it's about this student-teacher romance. This guy is like in his 40s, I'm pretty sure, and she's like 15 years old, and it's all about how he's kind of like taking advantage of her and gaslighting appreciating her, and you know, it's not an easy read, it's not a fun time, and he could very easily, very well be the smallest man who ever lived, because reading this book was very infuriating at times, you know, it was like, oh my gosh, because you're reading from the perspective of this 15-year-old girl. So I think the whole idea of this song, like, was any of it true, gazing at me starry-eyed, like, was any of it real? And the whole idea of like, I don't even want you back, I just want to know if rusting my sparkling summer was the goal. I feel like especially in the bridge of this song when she says, and in plain sight you hid, but you are what you did. Like, you fucking know what you did, dude. You are a 40-year-old teacher. And when she says, I'll forget you, but I'll never forgive the smallest man who ever lived, like, freaking period. Yeah, I'll forget you. Like, you're not gonna impact my life in that way, but I'll never forgive you. Oh, it is such a ballsy line. It is such a ballsy song. I just love it so much, and I feel like this book would really capture the vibes of this song.
Cause it wasn't sexy once it wasn't forbidden.
Okay, the next song on this album is The Alchemy, which this one was initially in my top 5 favorites, like the first few times that I listened to this. I don't know if it still is, but this is definitely a song that I still really love. I think it's so freaking cute. This song is screaming football romance. Like, obviously I had to recommend a football romance, but I do have 2 different recommendations because I also feel like it does capture the vibe of another book pretty well. So the football romance I would recommend for this song is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. I mean, do I even have to explain to you why there are so many football references in this song? When I touch down, call the amateurs and cut them from the team. I just feel like there's a lot of football references in here, so I had to mention this one, but I also feel like this song could be a perfect book recommendation for Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Baby, I'm the one to be.
This is another book that's about sports. It's about tennis, and we're following this character named Carrie Soto who's going to be making a comeback in tennis. She's literally coming back to tennis to try and beat her record because her record has been broken, and so she's coming back. And so the whole like, what if I told you I'm back? And the whole I'm coming back so strong. Ditch the clowns, get the crown, baby, I'm the one to beat. And when she says I'm making a comeback to where I belong, like on the tennis court. So not necessarily for like the romantic elements of this song would I recommend this book, but for the idea of an athlete who's returning to their game and making a comeback stronger than ever, I think this book would be the perfect recommendation for that.
I'm making a comeback to where I belong.
Alright, and then the last song on this half of the album is Clara Bow, which this song literally gut punched me the first time that I heard it. I think this is such a powerful, such a freaking beautiful piece of art, this song. I do think this song is in my top 5. I mean, I know I've been saying that about a lot of songs. I do think this song is up there for me though. It's still one of my top favorites. And I think a book that fits this song so freaking perfectly is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
This town is fake, but you're the real thing.
I mean, come on, you knew this book would be in here, right? Like, this book is in every single one of these videos that I do. I just love this book, and I can easily relate this book to so many different Taylor Swift songs. But I think Clara Bow is especially a song that I feel like Evelyn Hugo can relate to, because I feel like Clara Bow, to me, it gives me the same energy as like The Lucky One. You know, it's like, it's one of those songs where she's kind of like reflecting on her career, saying like, I would have been so happy to have made it. Like, all I wanted when I was younger was to make it in the world, right? Like, she wanted to be a musician more than anything. But then it's like this cycle of like women being compared to the women from previous generations, right? It's like, oh, you look like Clara Bow. Oh, you look like Stevie Nicks. Oh, you look like Taylor Swift. It's like you're constantly compared to the women that have come before you, and the whole, you know, take the glory and give everything, promise to be dazzling. Women are put under such intense scrutiny in the eye of the public, and women just live by different standards when it comes to Hollywood, especially with lyrics like beauty is a beast that roars, down on all fours demanding more. And then only when your girlish glow flickers just so do they let you know. Because in the mind of Hollywood, you can only be successful for so long, right? Because you're only gonna be young for such a short amount of time, and like that's really like your prime time when you're in Hollywood. But I think this song just perfectly captures Evelyn Hugo because, you know, in this story we're following a young actress who's trying to make it big in Hollywood, and then she very much does. And then she starts to wonder like, is this fame something I even want, or something that I can even handle? And I imagine Evelyn Hugo would get told things like, you look like Marilyn Monroe, or just, you know, comparisons to any other actress of her time, or even Clara Bow. You know, like she probably would have been compared to Clara Bow too. So I think that this is the perfect book recommendation for this song. Like, I can't even imagine what other book would fit this song more perfectly than this one. All right, so those are all of the book recommendations that I have for you today. These videos are literally so much fun for me to make. Like, they are such a staple on my channel, and they just make me feel so happy. Like, I love books, I love Taylor Swift music, and finding similarities between the two just really makes me feel so alive. Like, I love it so much. So if you had to pick a top 5 favorite tracks on this album, at least from those those first 16, then let me know what your top 5 would be down in the comments. I'm still, you know, personally trying to figure that out. You know, as I said, it's been a few weeks now and I'm still trying to figure out which ones are my favorites because I have so many favorites. But if I had to pick right now, I think my top 5 currently are Down Bad, Fortnight, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, Guilty as Sin, and Florida. I think Florida's in my top 5 now. But then shortly, like right after that would be Fresh Out the Slammer, The Alchemy, loml, Clara, even in the Tortured Poets department, But Daddy I Love Him. I think But Daddy I Love Him is growing on me so much too. Those are definitely some of my personal favorites, so let me know yours and what you're thinking, and also let me know if you would like to see a part 2 of this to include the anthology tracks, because I would be willing to do that. I couldn't do 31 songs for one video. Like, that felt like a lot to take on. But thank you so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate you, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye!
Fortnight, there we were forever. Down bad, crying at the gym. Like, who uses typewriters anyway? But lights, camera, bitch, smile. Florida, move to Florida. Buy the car you want. I'm so depressed, I act like it's my birthday. 'Cause fucking I wasn't enough. I cry a lot, but I am so productive. Just screeching tires of true love. I need to forget, so take me to Florida. I was afraid of little lonely. No fucking body without ever touching his skin. Then listen to one more second of all this bitching and moaning of Taylor Swift in this light. Fresh out the slammer. Why does it feel like a vow? We're both uphold somehow. Hurt me, but what if they did? And nobody even knows. I might just not get up, I might stay down bad. Mine on my apple pie, only in my mind. Florida, you're the loss of my life.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna do it.
Dazzling.
That song always makes me want to cry. I'm fine. Everything's fine.